You know, Yu-Gi-Oh players never disappoint me. The brand new Fabled support was announced only a couple of days ago, and already someone has discovered a one-card FTK that's super consistent. So check this out. Off of one single rescue cat, you can now draw your entire deck and end up with 5 pieces of EXODIA. Now, obviously, a large part of this is thanks to the new Fabled cards, but also you have to remember that the old Fabled cards were not once per turn. That's how old they were. But before we dive into the combo, let's take a quick glance at the brand new Fabled support so you guys are all caught up to what the heck is going on in the land of the Fableds. These cards are all coming out in the upcoming Terminal World 2. Yep, after Terminal World 1, there's a second series that has more support for the existing dual terminal archetypes. The Fabled Behemoth, this guy looks really derpy, but he is a level 2 light beast tuner that has hard once per turn effects. Yes, they actually had the foresight to make these guys hard once per turns for once. If this card is in your hand, you can discard 2 or more Fabled monsters, including this card, and if you do, special summon a Fabled Synchro monster from your extra deck whose levels equal the discarded monster's total original levels. And then while it's in the graveyard, if a card is sent from your hand to the graveyard, you can banish this card, special summon any Fabled monster from your hand. So this card allows you to basically synchro summon directly from your hand by using the monsters instead of having them on the field. The Fabled Gamagan is one of the key components in this actual FTK. This is a level 4 Light Fiend Synchro Tuner monster that requires a Fabled +1 or more non-tuner monsters. Obviously also hard once per turn, but if this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon a Fabled monster from your hand or your deck, which is really crazy because you basically bridge into any Fabled monster from your deck directly when you summon this card out. Your opponent cannot target any other Fabled synchro monsters you control with card effects, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can draw cards equal to the number of Fabled synchro monsters you control, then discard 1 card. So this card, again, is one of the key components that allows this FTK to be possible by tutoring into a specific Fabled directly from your deck. The Fabled Swarm Leverzabo, this is a level 10 Light Fiend synchro monster, a retrain of the Fabled Leviathan, which is one of the strongest monsters actually enabling this combo. But this is a generic level 10 synchro monster that says once per turn during the main phase as a quick effect, you contribute any number of Fabled monsters, and if you do, take control of that many face-up monsters your opponent controls, but negate their effects. And this is a quick effect that does not target. Also, you contribute itself for the cost. So it's kind of interesting how this could actually fit as a generic level 10 synchro into a lot of different decks as well. And then if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one other Fabled card in your graveyard, return this card to your extra deck, and if you do, add that target back to your hand. Now, we do not actually require this synchro monster in this particular FTK, believe it or not, but since it was a part of the new support, I thought we'd cover it. And last but not least is Fabled Realm Resurrection. This is a continuous spell card that says, when this card resolves, you can set 1 Fabled spell or trap from your deck except this card. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when your Fabled monster is synchro summoned. Once per turn, you can discard a Fabled card, then activate one of these effects. Either draw 1 card or special summon a Fabled monster from your graveyard or your banishment. So pretty interesting, especially given that this is searchable off one of the existing Fabled monsters already, which unlocks a lot of bridges and different combo lines. Now, the fact that this card is a spell card means it's actually searchable off of the Fabled Marcosia, which triggers the effect when it's discarded to search for any Fabled spell or trap directly from your deck to your hand. Now, you're probably looking at these new Fabled cards as well as the old cards that we have and wondering how the heck do you FTK with Fabled? Well, the answer is simple, really. This is all enabled off of one single starter, aka Rescue Cat. Yes, Rescue Cat is literally broken again. This card, for those of you guys that do not know, was on the ban list for a long period of time back in the day for being extremely busted. But they actually gave it an errata. How this card works is you tribute it as a cost to summon out 2 level 3 or lower beast monsters directly from your deck to the field, and it does negate the effects. Yes, they errataed this card. Previously, it did not negate the effects, but even with the errata online, the card is still insane for this particular Fabled combo because all we need is bodies to synchro summon into the Fabled Gamagan, which is a new synchro monster, and as long as we can get to him, then we are off to the races for this actual FTK. This FTK also relies heavily on looping the Fabled Leviathan. This is the original boss monster for Fabled that was released over 10 years ago, and because it's so old, it's not once per turn. How it works is it says when this card's destroyed, you can actually add back 3 Fabled monsters from your graveyard back to your hand. So in this particular combo, we are going to be remaking the Fabled Leviathan over and over again and popping it so we can add back more resources to do it again until we finally get the loop in place. And yes, the loop will be making usage of the TG Hyper Librarian, who allows you to draw a card every time you synchro summon and is also not once per turn. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's take a look at the combo. I stumbled upon this on Twitter. It was made by a Twitter user named SunOnOS, so shout out to them. But again, Rescue Cat has become insane. What we're gonna do is normal summon this, tribute it to summon out the Fabled Nozuchi and the Fabled Beelzebub in order to go into Fabled Gamgian. So again, this summons a Fabled monster from your deck upon the summon as a trigger effect, and we go for Fabled Grimroll. This is an older card that allows you to discard itself from your hand to search for any Fabled monster. Now, this is important because we can then go into Fiendsmith. Yes, the Fabled stuff is all light Fiend, so you can go directly to Requiem without any other strings attached, no moon, no nothing. We just go directly into the new Fabled Lacrima, Scarlet Sorrow, and this allows you to foolish the lone copy of Fiendsmith Engraver. Remember, this is with the new OCG ban list, so they only have one copy of Engraver. Now, we're gonna bring it back by shuffling back a card. Then we're gonna go into sequence to the real Lacrima. So again, like, this is the difference in the OCG. They have Lacrima, the fusion monster, whereas we do not in the TCG. So depending on if there's a way to adapt this combo, maybe there's still a way to do it in the TCG, but for now in the OCG, they can do this because you do add back the Fabled Grimroll using Lacrima's effect, which allows you to then discard it to search for a copy of Fabled Marcosia. Marcosia, when it's discarded, you can search for a Fabled Spiral Trap card. Then we synchro summon into Fabled Leviathan. Again, we're going to be looping Leviathan because when it's destroyed, we add back 3 different Fabled monsters from our graveyard to our hand. Now, we will use the effect of Gamgin to draw and discard the Marcosia. Then we will use Marcosia's effect to add a copy of the Fabled Realm. This will allow us to put online our Fabled Field Spell. The Field Spell is kind of interesting. It's called Stairway to Fabled Realm. And when this card is activated, you can actually foolish any Fabled monster from your deck directly to the graveyard. Also, you can target a Fabled monster in your graveyard, discard 2 cards, then add that card back to your hand. So this is a very, very neat combo piece that you require in order to foolish a copy of the Fabled Kushano. And then we can actually target the Grimroll, discard the 2 cards in our hand to add back Grimroll, discard that Grimroll again to add a copy of Fabled Catsith. So Catsith, when it's discarded, you can pop a face-up card on the field. So we will trigger the engraved Kushano that allows us to discard a card to add it back to our hand. Then on a new chain, the Catsith will target our own Leviathan because this will pop the Leviathan, allowing us to add back 3 different Fabled cards all together. Then we'll use the effect of Fabled Realm to actually discard a card, summon back Leviathan from the graveyard. Fabled Realm can resurrect any Fabled monster, so it's a free way to get back the Leviathan. Then we can pitch Grimroll to add a copy of Sokius. Sokius can be summoned out thanks to the effect of Beelzebub in the graveyard, banish that. Then we will use the effect of Kushano to discard the Catsith again, pop that Leviathan, add back the 3 copies of Fabled, including itself, so you can cycle back the Leviathan over and over. Again, being not once per turn is just nuts. Then we can use Grimroll again to search for another copy of a Fabled, this time Fabled Cruise. When this card is actually discarded, you can resurrect the level 4 or lower Fabled monster from your graveyard. So we will bring back the Fabled Gamgin again, then we can synchro off because he's the tuner monster, go into Leviathan yet again, then use the effect of Kushano, discard the Catsith, pop that Leviathan yet again, and then bring back 3 copies of cards. Now, when you already get the Cruise into rotation, this is where the infinite loop starts. Because we go Grimroll, add another copy of another Fabled, then Sokius triggers, discarding 2 cards. Then we can trigger the effect of Kushano, bring back the Gamgin, make another Leviathan. Then we can just loop Catsith, pop the Leviathan, add back 3 cards, and you see every time you loop it, you add a additional card back to your hand. So it's almost like you're getting free value at this point. And now we're gonna bring back the Sokius, go for Fabled Chawa this time. This is relevant. We need a level 1 tuner with our level 4 Marcosia because we are gonna go into the Hyper Librarian, which allows you to draw a card every time you synchro, also not being once per turn. So we are gonna go to Leviathan, draw a card, and now the infinite loop starts. Kushano, discard Cathis, pop the Leviathan, bring everything back. Kushano, discard Cruise, bring back Gamgin. You can use the Sokius, bring back, make Leviathan again, and then draw infinite times, popping with Catsith plus Kushano each time until you draw your entire deck, aka the 5 pieces of EXODIA. So this is absolutely nuts. I mean, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Is there a way to somehow make this even more consistent? Because as it stands now, there are 0 bricks in the actual engine besides the EXODIA pieces. Also in the TCG, do you guys think it's possible to somehow adapt it so we can do this instead of being forced to use the Fusion Lacrima that's already banned? I don't know. I just thought this combo was really, really interesting that someone discovered in FTK nearly like a couple of days later after the fact. And it's a very, very intricate FTK made possible thanks to Hyper Librarian as well as the Fabled Leviathan. So guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. Do you think it's a relevant FTK? Do you think this will actually be good, or is it too volatile? It's more of a demonstration. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Smash that subscribe and like button. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.